Question for the Motorola guys?
Go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes I hear about radios being depo'd. What does that mean, 235?
Industry terminology, basically that's the service center. They call it the depot or the depot.
Well, I've heard it's a derogatory type of thing, where if you had your radio sent to a depot, it's somehow disabled or something, or features disabled, or I'm not sure what all that means.
935.
Well, it's twofold. So the depot can be used. The depot is the service center, or what they call the depot tool or depot tool, and that is a dealer manufacturer tool that they use for testing to enable or disable features within a radio. So a lot of these hacks will take, they'll find a cracked version of the depot tool online, or someone has shared it from the depot, and they'll take say for instance, they'll take a XTS 2500, they'll run it through the depot tool, and they'll turn it into an XTS 5000. I mean, that's probably what you're referring to.
I've seen when people are buying radios, they don't want to have that terminology used. It's somehow derogatory, so I'm not sure what that means. I guess in a derogatory term of having been sent back to a factory depot. I would guess that would bring it back to a normal state, 235.
935,
Hey,
comment.
fast, real quick. Chief come in there with a comment off underneath 948. Go ahead, Chief. 750.
No, not necessarily. But a lot of guys will use the depot tool to, excuse me, I had my mouth full. They'll use the depot tool to clear out the serial numbers because the radios are either stolen or, you know, they're hacked together. Motorola gets real weird about stuff like that. They don't want radios that aren't initially enabled with features out there, and you know, for general use. Okay, I'll shut up now. Go ahead. Somebody else take it.
Okay, understood. That makes sense. 235.
Yeah, 935, comment.
Go ahead.
Right, the other piece with the radio, the depot tool, is for a radio can't be sent back, there is no longer supported, so it doesn't really matter. You won't run into this situation, but if you were to use the depot tool and enable functionality in the radio that you hadn't paid for, because those upgrades to turn on additional functionality are, you know, to be paid for, or as the other gentleman mentioned, you take a radio that has a model number of X that has a certain level of functionality, and because that radio is electrically the same as another radio that has more functionality, and you make those changes and make it more, well, and then you send that to the depot, the service depot, they see that and they just keep the radio. You don't get the radio back. It has to be sent through. Typically when you send one through to be repaired, you take it to a radio shop and they send it in, and if they miss it, they get chewed on by Motorola for even sending the radio in, and where did the radio come from, and then the Motorola intellectual property attorneys contact you, and how did you come about having this radio, and we need to know. And it gets real ugly real fast.
Yes, sir. You nailed that right on the head. And I'm sure every manufacturer is the same way. I mean, Motorola is probably the worst about it, but you know, it's the most widespread, widely known manufacturer, and I don't want to say readily available, but you know, the depot tool is out there if people want to find it for different kinds of radios.
Yeah, and at Kenwood, where they didn't pay attention to that so much in the past with the old single-banded analog-only stuff, now are paying very close attention, like Motorola does, to people screwing with their new radios that are multi-band and multi-format, and where you can order one of the multi-band Kenwoods with up to 2 digital modes. Their depot tool, if you will allow you to turn on all 4, but there again, you're basically with that Depo'd tool stealing from that manufacturer by turning on stuff that you didn't pay for.
Yep, you nailed it right on the head. That's exactly right.
You guys, I'm in the driveway, so catch y'all later, 935.